Hello and welcome to the desk on Global Television. Time for us to look at current issues making the rounds across the globe and in Nigeria as we find solutions to very interesting talking points. We'll be looking at issues making the rounds on the global scene as we focus on Israel. On Friday, slammed the United Nations probe, which concluded it was deliberately seeking to destroy the healthcare in the Gaza Strip and abusing Palestinian detainees, branding the findings outrageous. The United Nations Independent International Commission of Inquiry said Israel had perpetrated a concerted policy to destroy Gaza's healthcare system. The country is committing war crimes and crime against humanity of extermination with relentless and deliberate attacks on medical personnel and facilities. So we'll be looking at the implications of that finding by the United Nations already. Just yesterday, we had the Palestinian envoy to Nigeria in the person of Abdullah Abu Shawesh, hosting journalists in the Federal Capital Territory, demanding for the United Nations to set up a committee to investigate war crimes before, during, and after the Gaza war. So we'll be looking at keenly how this would shape the Middle East peace that is being searched for. That's before the coming out with this report by the United Nations. So we're looking at that keenly, and from there we'll be moving on to Nigeria. We'll be looking at the anti-graft agency in focus as a former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, has been summoned to appear before the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja over allegations of criminal breach of trust and possession of unlawfully acquired property. The summons issued by Justice Marian Anene alleged that Bello committed offenses between 2016 and 2023. The summons dated October 3rd, 2024 was made public in a Friday post from the X handle of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. And according to the court documents, Bello is accused of violating Section 311 of the Penal Code Cap 89 laws of the Northern Nigeria 1963, which deals with criminal breach of trust and is punishable under Section 312. He is also charged under Section 319A for allegedly possessing property suspected to have been obtained through unlawful means. So we'll be looking at the FCC before now had made several attempts to arrest and get the former governor of Kogi State to come answer questions regarding monies said to have been allegedly diverted from the state coffer. So we'll be looking at if this current move by Justice Mariam Anini would provide a solution or finally get the ex-governor to answer key questions as regards the funding and resources of Kogi State. All right, another very interesting talking point on today's edition will be fuel hike, as Falana says a fixing of fuel prices by NNPC is illegal. That's the conclusion of Femi Falana, SAN, who knocked the decision of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company to fix prices of imported fuel and locally refined fuel, which are illegal, null, and void. Yes, in a statement made, Falana said the move contravenes the provisions of the Sections 205 of the Petroleum Industrial Act. He accused the company of several violations of the law setting it up. So we'll be looking at this, what it means in terms of the current prices Nigerians are buying fuel. If this is the case, so it means there should be a reversal of the pump price, the PMS, to probably going backwards as low as 500, since the SAN, Femi Falana, has said the increase is null and void and illegal, to say the least. All right, I will also be taking you to IPMAN, still talking in petrol matters, as the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has threatened to stop operations nationwide following the high cost of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, sold to IPMAN members by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. IPMAN revealed on Thursday that the cost of petrol from the Dangote Petroleum Refinery to NNPC was about 898 naira per litre, but noted that NNPC was selling the same product to independent marketers at 1,010 naira per litre in Lagos. All right, we'll be looking at these Nigerians are groaning under this harsh and very distasteful hike in petrol price. So we'll be looking at the implication of all this. If IPMAN decides to go on strike or shut down operations nationwide, what will be become of the nation in terms of economic activities, social and political activities grounded to a halt? All right, that will move on from there and look at other issues making the rounds. And we will definitely have to take you to Rivers State with SY National Publicity Secretary of the defunct New People's Democratic Party, NPDP, and the chieftain of the All Progressive Congress, APC Chief Eze, Chukwuemeka Eze, has told the 27 stranded lawmakers that they have ceased to be state assembly members. Eze, in a press conference circulated to media organizations, highlighted that the protracted crisis rocking Rivers State over the leadership continued leadership of the House of Assembly has continued unabated as a result of the actions of some politicians. So we'll be looking at that keenly, what is to come. All right, these are some of the very interesting talking points we'll be looking at on today's edition of the program. As also we'll be looking at corruption, the root of all criminal acts according to the ICPC. We'll go for a quick break. When we return from the break, hopefully my guest, Jake Ipele, who is the chairman of the Albino Foundation, will be joining me in the live studios to help us look at these issues. And we'll be zeroing in specifically on the crisis in Rivers State. Stay with us. Is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians, we are the Canaan, because
that this country gets it right.
Who are these bandits?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the
Can
Palestinians.
you not
We
say
are the
that
Canaan
again?
because
That this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
we are the
Can
Palestinians.
you not
We
say
are the
that
Canaan
again?
because
That this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
we are the
Can you
Palestinians.
not
We
say
are the
that
Canaan
again?
because
That this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television.
All right, welcome back from the break. You're still watching the Desk on Global Television, and we'll be looking at issues from the global perspective and also on the home front. My guest right now in the studio, we've got Jackie Pele, who is the founder and CEO of TAF Africa, formerly the Abilino Foundation, if you are aware of that very laudable foundation. He is the founder and CEO of TAF Africa. Thank you very much for making it to the studios.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's just look at from the global scene. We're looking at recently we had Israel today did slam the United Nations probe, which concluded that it deliberately attacked the health facility and health personnel in the course of this Gaza war. And Israel says it's an outrageous, report. Don't forget that we also have Israel did declare the United Nations Secretary General persona non grata recently. Do you think this is the aftermath of that declaration, and it's obvious, or it looks like the UN is taking sides?
Well, one thing is sure, Israel has a right to defend herself. As much as we are aware of most of these terrorist organization trying to attack them. Hamas, Hezbollah, they are known to be terrorism inclined. And so what is happening is a backlash of their refusal to recognize the state of Israel as an existing nation. And unfortunately, when you keep provoking a nation or an individual, that person will have to fight back to defend himself or herself where it is necessary. But oftentimes, in trying to defend yourself, retaliation, and that's why God never allowed us to retaliate, because when we do, it will be more grievous than the offense in the first place. And so in Israel trying to defend herself, sometimes they go overboard, however, they have a right to defend themselves. I mean, what is the world expecting them to do? Fold their hands and be killed? And I think United Nations also needs to address the issue of October 7th. What happened, who was responsible, and that incident, that event is still lingering because Hamas still have hostages of not just Israelis, but Americans and several other indigenous citizens of other countries. So, bottom line, Israel has a right to defend itself. It doesn't matter what the United Nations says. United Nations has never been right all the time, And so I think there is a need for them to be objective in addressing the issue. You can't be releasing a report that singled out one person when there are two people in combat, And so what is their report saying about Hamas? What is their report saying about Hezbollah? What is their report saying? Did United Nations, it was a mere more or less like a wishy-washy kind of statement by the United Nations Secretary General to say that, Iran, in fact, he didn't even say condemn Iran. He just said that there should be ceasefire. That's unbecoming of one that should be #1 citizen of the whole world. There's a need for those who criticize Israel to put themselves in their shoes. What would you expect them to do?
Well said. All right, let's come back to Nigeria on the national scheme of things. We've got a very interesting talking point, which has to do with the judiciary, as the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, has been summoned to appear before the Federal High Court in Abuja over allegations of criminal breach of trust and possession of unlawfully acquired property. The summons issued by Justice Mariam Anini alleged that Bello committed the offenses between 2016 and 2023. The summons dated October 3, 2024 was made public from the post on the X handle by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, which alleged that according to the court document, Bello is accused of violating Section 311 of the Penal Code Law Cap 89 Laws of Northern Nigeria 1963, which deals with criminal breach of trust and is punishable under Section 312. This case, it's been ongoing. EFCC had made several attempts to arrest him or make him come answer questions, which they've failed. Do you think this route they are going, we see the governor, ex-governor, come to terms with reality? And why do you think it's difficult for them to apprehend him?
I think that's a question that is begging for an answer. I don't see any reason why Bello should not be arrested if all that has been laid out is true. Sure. Even if it's not, he's considered a suspect and should face the law. You know, he's not above the law. The immunity as a governor is no longer there. He's not the sitting governor of Kogi State, you know. And so he should face the law. If not for anything, exonerate himself, you know, make himself available to go through the process of law. Peradventure, he will be exonerated. But this idea of making himself unreachable, threatening anybody that criticizes him. I think on the flip side, it's important to also warn public officers about the statement that they make. And I'm talking about the EFCC chairman, who told the entire country that if he did not prosecute Yahaya Bello, he will resign. Well, we are still waiting for him to put in his resignation, because up till today, he has not been able to arrest Yahaya Bello. That means Yahaya Bello is being protected by his political godfathers, because it's not difficult to pick him up. It's not difficult at all. So the idea that they cannot arrest him, I don't buy it. You know?
Do you think the fact that he is refusing to face the law, it tends to portray him as being guilty, or feels like probably he's scared that he's going to be found guilty?
He who goes to equity goes with
clean hands.
Exactly. So if he feels that it's like I am, and I'm told, there was a day they called me and said, oh, we have a letter from the IGs of police, you need to. Of course I showed up, you know. So if you are clean, if there are no glass house and you are avoiding stones,
yeah,
you know, you show up and clear your name, you know. But no one is above the law, and the law itself shouldn't place anyone above it. And that's exactly what is happening. If Yahaya Bello, let me be void of sentiments.
Yeah.
If Yahaya Bello were to be from any other part of this country, by now he's in EFCC net. You know? So what I'm saying is, he is a member of the ruling party. Could it be that his party is shielding him? You understand? You know, there is nothing, there is absolutely nothing stopping somebody like that from being arrested. He doesn't have immunity. The immunity ceased the day he left the government house of Kogi State. However, he has a right of fair hearing. He has a right of fair hearing. So as much as he's being looked for, they must give him that opportunity to fair hearing. You know. So, but it is not good for the law and the anti-graft agency, that up till this moment, they have not been able to get just one person. Assuming they were looking for 20 people or 100 people, you know. So they have no reason not to tell us why they have not arrested him.
Right.
If what they are claiming that he did are false, then they should declare so that all of us will stop commenting about his current position.
All right, let's move on to the next talking point. We've got a Nigerian lawyer and human rights activist, the person of Femi Falana, SAN, has knocked the decisions of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited for fixing prices, saying it is illegal, null, and void. If that's the case, why do you think they still went ahead to fix the price? And what shouldn't that be a total reversal? Even when the president says, going forward, the NNPCL ceases to be part of operations. Do you think that was deliberate by the federal government in connivance with NNPC to set the tone before leaving the stage?
Well, it's the whole petroleum controversy, the pricing controversy, and who fixed the price and who doesn't fix the price has become more or less like a saga. You know, it's unfortunate that there is no clarity and there is no sincerity in what they are doing. I think there is a need for those in government to know that the people need to believe who the people governing them. The people need to believe whoever is governing them. And the words of the president carries power. You know, you cannot on day one announce that subsidy is gone. And yet subsidy was never gone. And that's the problem. From that announcement till maybe a few days ago, they were still paying subsidy. Subsidy was never taken out at all. And even right now, who is even sure that subsidy has been taken out? You understand? So the truth is, this form of almost the kind of politics of Donald Trump that lies about everything and never tells the truth about anything. We are beginning to see it in Nigeria. The difference is that in Nigeria, we tell white lies. Lies that
are obvious. They know it's a lie.
Yeah, okay. Just like Donald Trump, he tells white lies. You understand? You know, but the truth is, government should come out in a very clear terms and in the most honorable way to say exactly where they are in the issue of subsidies. Don't get me wrong. I'm a proponent of subsidy removal.
Okay.
You know, because as far as I'm concerned, you know, the subsidy regime is in itself a fraud.
Why do you think it's a fraud?
Because the people that get or benefit from it have never told us the truth. They overinflate their invoices. They claim what they didn't supply. They take what they never was not there. They forge their invoices and banter it, and just for them is a national cake. You know, so the whole regime is fraudulent and should be completely taken out of government system.
Are you disappointed that Labour seemed to have been cowed, that they didn't talk about coming out to protest this? They're not pushing for reversal of this new price.
I don't think we can start now blaming Labour. It's this pricing thing just happened, and so we shouldn't preempt them. Okay. They may also, I like to use the word respond to the situation than just react to the situation. So let's give them a chance. Joe is a very good friend, and I'm not saying that because he's a friend. I think they may do something. Everything is not about strike. Everything is not about confrontation. You know, there's a possibility they'll go into some form of negotiation and see what comes out of it. We should also praise them for the living wage that they had just gotten for Nigeria. And Joe had to go through a lot for that to happen, including being beaten and thrown into jail, you know. But that's exactly what activism is all about.
All right, let's still talking petroleum matters. Ipman has said they're threatening to shut down operations in the country due to the high cost of PMS. What do you think is going to be the consequences of that? And do you think Ipman can also twist the government to reverse the current prices?
Well, incidentally, the DG of MAN is a very good friend of mine, very cerebral. I mean, when it comes to issue of petrol, it's not just, it doesn't affect only motorists. It affects machineries, because some of these generators run on petrol, others run on diesel, you know. And so it's some sort of a cycling effect, you know. Once you hit here, it will go around, you know. So we need to be very careful. If MAN makes good of their threat, there is going to be acute food shortage in the country. That's the rippling effect. There is going to be a whole lot of other aspects of the sector that will suffer as a result, you know, be it especially food, garments,
and the health sector and others.
Every healthcare will also suffer, because members of MAN are pharmaceuticals, you know. So I think it's something that requires strategic engagement and strategic negotiation and deliberation, you know, getting everybody on the table.
All right, let's move on. In case you're just joining us, it's the desk on Global Television, and we've got the founder and CEO of TAF Africa in the person of Jake Ipele, helping us look at the issues from a very balanced perspective, giving us insight as regards things playing out on the global scene and right here on the national and sub-national level. We're still looking at issues. Let's take this one more talking point before we go for a very quick break. We're taking you to Rivers State, where the issues are still burning, and it's Fubara's issue, as Fubara won't represent the budget, is the talking point, as ex-while National Publicity Secretary of the defunct New People's Democratic Party and chieftain of the All Progressive Congress in the person of Chief Eze Chukwuemeka Eze has told the 27 stranded lawmakers that they have ceased to be state assembly members. In the press statement circulated in the media on Friday, he highlighted the protracted crisis rocking Rivers State over the leadership of the House of Assembly. Let's look at that matter. To some people like Chukwuemeka Eze, yes, those 26 or 27 lawmakers ceases to exist. But are you not worried that the Nigerian police force, rather than protect the Constitution, because the Constitution clearly states that those persons, once they defected, they lose their places. Are you not worried that the Nigerian police force is not protecting rather protecting the 26 or 27 lawmakers, and the FCT minister is still ongoing with this bickering, and the president seemed to be aloof despite his initial effort to resolve the crisis?
Well, you know, it's really unfortunate that the political Rivers State has become a political theater, one drama after the other. Many of them, the sceneries are melodramatic in its nature. I am from Rivers State, and so I am a critical stakeholder, and I can speak authoritatively that the the problem in Rivers State is that of one man wanting to be in power perpetually, and that is Nyesom Wike. And unfortunately, there are people that are following him sheepishly and foolishly too. That said, River State is far bigger than one man. One man cannot and will not and should not control the destiny of over 6 million people.
But it looks like even the elder statesmen in Rivers have been quiet, like the Odilis and Peterside and others. They seem to not have, confronted him face. Is it about the financial power he has?
Do you know the person you're dealing with? When an individual gets to that point where he cannot be talked to by anybody, the guy is simply recalcitrant. He's uncontrollable. He feels he knows everything. He feels he has all the money. And he feels he can do everything. But the Rivers people are not going to take it. Let them use, and what is happening right now is a manipulation of the legal structure.
Against the incumbent government.
Not just against the people of Rivers State. Listen, this whole thing is not about Fubara. It's not about Fubara. It's about the people of Rivers State. Can you imagine how wicked these guys can be? The idea that local government elections should not hold is strategically targeting the 15th of October. Let me just put it in perspective so that we can contextualize it for the interest of your viewers. The whole strategy was to push Fubara to the edge, and he will not organize the local government election so that by the 15th of October, the entire River State would have lost his own resource allocation at the federal level. That's the strategy. Now, that's a wicked strategy because unknown to all of them, their mothers and fathers, some of them are still in River State. Unknown to their brothers, their wives, their children, although many of them have taken their family out of River State. However, they have relatives. Those relatives are going to suffer from non-allocation. And the effect is that healthcare is going to break down, education is going to break down, social services will break down completely, anarchy will set in, and then they will call for
state of emergency.
Exactly. We don't have an IQ of a mushroom to know that this is their strategy. But you see, when you're fighting the people and you feel that the people don't have the power to fight back, God backs them up. Everything that they have done, they end up making mistake that ropes them in. And that's what has happened with the 27 lawmakers. As far as the Constitution is concerned, and some of them are lawyers, so they should have known better. Wike is a lawyer. He should have known better that those guys are done and dusted out of the political scene of People's Democratic Party. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of PDP because they themselves are a total disappointment.
Okay.
Because I've never seen where a political party will fight
its own member.
His own very resourceful member.
Let's look at this issue of representing the budget, the 800 billion naira budget, which the Federal High Court in Abuja, the Appeal Court, has reaffirmed the ruling of the Federal High Court. Do you think that's manipulation of the judiciary once again? Remember, not so long ago, the last CJN did confer justices on certain people who were related to Nyesom Wike and his own siblings, which raised some uproar. Do you think this is where it's all playing out?
Let me tell you for free. River State have appealed. They're taking it up
To the Supreme Court.
most assuredly. However, there's also another ruling in River State that they have not challenged. But you see, I just don't know why a certain clique of people will want to throw the entire nation into a constitutional crisis. This is how people manipulate the system, and then civil war breaks out. This is how it happens. They keep manipulating the structure, peddling one judgment after the other. Unfortunately, there are very unlearned judges who are giving some of these judgments that everyone, an elementary law student, will know that these are not a good judgment born out of legal references. They are judgments that will haunt those who are giving it for the rest of their life.
All right, a very sad commentary as we reach the business end of the program. Let's see if we can take one more talking point before we call it a wrap. Let's get to the PDP crisis, not just the fact that just today we had Justice Peter Lifu of the Federal High Court in Abuja restrain the National Executive Committee and Board of Trustees of the opposition People's Democratic Party from removing Ambassador Umar Iliya Damagum as the acting national chairman of the party. Earlier reported the suspension of Damagum and the national secretary of the party, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, by a faction of the National Working Committee of the party on Friday morning. But the court said no other person must be recognized as the PDP national chairman except Damagum. Let's look at the PDP that seem to be in all shades of crisis.
You see, the more these enemies of democracy manipulate the system and rope in the judiciary, the more they make mockery of the judicial system. And it's unfortunate. I thought the CJN had called this same judge, for questioning with that of River State. Was he questioned and given a pat on the back for him to go back and
continue
this kind of draconian judgment? That's what it is. Why on what basis will he, apart from the basis of maybe money exchanging hands, on what basis will he ask, what business does he have, the court has with the political party structure? Hasn't the man, incidentally, he's somebody I respect, but he has stayed there long enough for him to move. Yes. Must you be in an acting position forever? Whenever you see a masquerade dancing, the drama is somewhere.
All right, let's wrap it up. For what will be your watchword and last word for the people of Rivers State and the actors, and for especially Governor Sim Fubara, who has not known peace for a very long time?
Well, let me use this opportunity to address my good people of Rivers State and to say to you that we are resilient people. We are peaceful people, law-abiding people. Do not allow anyone to push you to the edge where there will be a breakdown of law and order. Let us continue to be the hope of this nation, the true ambassadors of peace, the home of hospitality, the people that gives hope to the hopeless. In the midst of this crisis, we can come out better and not bitter, but stronger, resilient, and resourceful at the end of the day. Let's prove our detractors that we are not distracted. Let's say to them that when they go low, we go high.
All right, would there be a final word for Sim Fubara?
Well, my dear brother, His Excellency, the Governor of Rivers State, you are the leader and you have made yourself a hero of democracy. Stay focused. Refuse to give up and refuse to cave in Do not throw in the towel. Give the people good governance, and the people will support you.
All
The
right.
political class has failed you, but the people class will not.
All right, so that's on that very instructive note, we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk. I want to say a big thank you. It's an honor having the CEO and founder of TAF Africa in the live studios, no other person but Jake Ipele, who has been doing amazing things for the people of Rivers State and the country at large. We want to say thank you very much, and also great job in election observations you'll be doing over time.
Thank
I want to
you.
say thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, my name is Anthony Momodu, saying thank you for being part of the program, The Desk on Global Television. Let's do this again next week. Good evening. Is The Desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the
Can we
Palestinians,
not
we
say
are the
both of
Canaan
them?
because
That this country gets it right.
It's The Desk on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the decks. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the deck.